So this time I've got another 100 vintage Pelican books for us to take a look at. This is Pelican's A301 up to A400, pretty much complete, I believe. So that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so we're starting with The Criminal Law, A301. And let's put this one into date perspective here. 1954. So, I mean, this sort of format now, the war is very much in the rearview mirror, and Penguin have standardized their format, and it's just been taken to the highest possible level, really. This is, for some people, this mid-50s design is perhaps, some of the best looking Penguin books that were ever produced. And certainly if you pick up a book from this period and you read it, you might well agree, they just feel fantastic in the hand. 302, History of Modern China. As I said, I'm pretty confident we've got pretty much all of them, I think. 303, Man and Vertebrates, Volume 1. So we won't beat around the bush. We've got plenty to get through today. Nice one here with the photo insert. And yeah, literally, the books are so robust and well made, and there's lots of big thick ones as well. There was actually 2 big comic boxes stuffed for me to get these all up into the studio. Here's the second volume, Man and Vertebrates Volume 2, consecutive numbering as well. Once again with the photo insert. A little bit of focusing on that one, but most of these I think are pretty nice condition. 305, Leibniz. New System of Philosophy. 306, Silver. A book on silver. Once again, a big photo section in there. I guess it's like a guide to its history and identification by the looks of it. Sort of thing that was being covered by the Observer books as well, wasn't it? They were going by this time. 307, The Waning of the Middle Ages. Lots of history books, of course, in the Pelican list. It's one of the things it was most famous for. Brilliant history. 308, Minds and Machines. What are electronic brains? What are they capable? Are they capable of thought? What can they do? I guess looking at early computers, which would have started to come in at the very late end of the Second World War, where it was like the start of mathematical thinking machines. Early furniture styles, 309, from 1500 to 1830. This is quite a specialist one, isn't it? This, once again, sort of more bordering on like an antique guidebook, isn't it, rather than anything else, but I suppose it's historical as well. 310, the Etruscans. So there is a quite old school dealer who I get a catalogue off every maybe 2 or 3 times a year, not that often, but generally what happens is if a Penguin collector has passed away, their collection usually, can sometimes, if it doesn't go to a university or something like that, or a library, generally goes into the hands of a dealer, and this is the dealer who usually gets chosen. And he recently had a run of the first 1,000 or so Pelican books, and I only collect up to about number 600. After number 600 is very, very patchy, between 600 and 1,000, but I've got maybe 100 or so. I'm not tracking them all down or anything. I'd like to get the first 600 because that sort of fits in with my period, but after that, that's about it. And anyway, the first 1,000 were listed, and I was able to pick up about 20 to 25 missing Pelicans that I had. 313. This is a great series, History of the USA, Volume 1. This is also by J. Walpurgo. That's Michael Walpurgo's dad. very much part of the Penguin story. And yeah, I was able to pick up a load and fill in quite a few gaps in my collection, which I was absolutely delighted about. As you can imagine, here's volume 2. So it's meant that some of the ones that you saw in the previous videos, I've now got those. I got those licked, and I was able to upgrade some of my very worst condition copies as well. 315. This is Roman Brit. This is a good series to read. Pelican History of England, or Britain, I should say. Prehistory of East Africa, 316. So it's a bit of a sad case, really, that when old penguins and collections come on the market, it's usually because it means the collector's passed away. But there does seem no shortage of new people getting into the hobby of collecting penguins and old paperbacks in general, which is brilliant to see. Lots of fans of design and fans of the artwork. I know these Pelicans are perhaps the most blandest books you ever might see. However, they've got their identity and they've got their place in publishing history. And I do enjoy collecting them, although that collection is almost done now. 318, The Wandering Scholars. 319, The Reach of the Mind. Some of the 60s ones, which we will get to in good time, are truly fantastic. The design keeps up with the times, and there's a new overall artistic editor at Penguin, and he really livens the list up. Now this one here, this is a foreboding of what's to come. So you can see this is number 320. You can see sort of a silvery marks on the back there, and there's a reason for that, which I shall show you a little bit later on. But this was published in 1956. So 1956, the year, was Penguin Books' 21st birthday. 1935 they started, so 1956, 21 years. And for that, they published a little range of books which were called Penguins Come of Age. And lots of them, like this one here, would have had a belly band around it, a silver belly band. Now some of the ones we've got to look at today have got the belly band on, so I'll be able to show you what it looks like. But there's no sort of definitive list of which ones had the belly band. Just books around 1956 would have had them. And I've got a handful. And if you do see a book with a belly band on it, usually adds about another £5 or £6 onto its value. 323, depending on if it's affected the condition of the book as well, because sometimes where there's a belly band been on and the book's been left out in the sun, it sort of leaves a suntan mark, which is not that desirable. Anyway, we should see some a little bit later on. 324. I think I've got maybe four with belly bands. I don't think I've got any main series Penguins, although they did release some with belly bands. 325, Guide to English Literature from Don to Marvell. It's a good series as well, highly regarded. And 326, Microbes and Us. Nice copy of this one. Lovely. 327, Prelude to Mathematics. 1955. So the publishing dates do jump around a little bit, but we're looking at these in Pelican numerical order. 328, The Colour Problem. So sometimes a number may not have got used until a year or two later, or the book was commissioned and a number reserved for it, but the Penguin then went back and filled the number in. So sometimes a book might get delayed. So I'm looking at French architecture, nice big photo insert again. Lovely. 330, British Wildflowers. These are the sorts of titles that Pelican does very, very well. Look at this, fantastic, eh? Looks like an illustration virtually on every page. Very, very nice. And just a great sort of reference, that. 331, and here's volume 2. So it's British Wildflowers volume 1, and this is volume 2. Huge books. And incidentally, the page numbering is interesting, so it carries on from the first one. So it's in the 400s, so that's quite interesting. That's unusual for a book to do that. 332, Sex and Society. 333, A Short History of Confucian Philosophy. That's not one I shall be reading myself. A little too highbrow for me. 334, The Film and the Public. Classic stills there. Reminds me of some of the cinema ones that they did. 335, Rome Beyond the Imperial Frontiers. Sir Mortimer Wheeler. He's one who did Penguin as well. Sorry, a Pan, Sir Mortimer Wheeler. With a name like that, it's hard to forget it, isn't it? It was also on archaeology. 336, Foundations in the Dust. Story of the exploration in Mesopotamia. Also another archaeological book. Quite a little bit worn, this one. That one sort of needs a bit of a repair job soon enough. 337, Christian Faith Today. 338, Kant. 339, Origin of the Earth. Looks like an astronomy title by the looks of it. Still 1955, so they were sure publishing at quite a rate, weren't they? Now this one, 340, it's a completely different sort of design. Decipher of Linear B, but if you look at the printing history, it is still the first print, but they never, this number was obviously reserved, but it never actually saw print until 1961. So by that time, the cover design was completely different to what we're looking at so far today. So that's why it looks a bit different from the regular run. But as I said, we're showing these in numerical order rather than actual published order. This makes far more sense to me. A341, The Human Species. A bit of a rare spotted colour there, blimey. Don't get a lot of colour with these Pelican books. 342, The Stone Age of Northern Africa. .343, 500 years of printing. 344, History of New Zealand. So far, touch wood, we haven't got a single missing book. Every single one has been in there numerically. 345, Thin Little One, Christianity and Social Order. I believe there was a Penguin special called exactly this, so I wonder if it's a reprint. Yeah, look at that. First published as a Penguin special in 1942, reprinted in the Pelican 1956. I thought I recognised the title. I've had my specials out recently, so that was one that was in my mind. 346, Human Groups. This is another one that came out much later. 347, Musical Instruments Through the Ages. Really, this is a taste of what we've got to come for our sort of later, the next 100 really. It's the 60s releases. 1961 again. So took about 4 years before that actually came about. 348, Alchemy. That's an interesting read. Story of the fascination of gold and the attempts of chemists, mystics and charlatans to find the philosopher's stone. Wow. 349, Aquinas. 350, halfway. The Arabs. Once again, I was going to say the other book entitled The Arabs is actually a puffin picture book, which has nothing to do with that. 351, A Guide to Earth History. Richard Carrington. Oh, sort of prehistoric history, that one by the looks of it. 352, F.H. Bradley. The 19th Century Metaphysician. Metaphysician and moralist who was the greatest of the British idealists. Wow. 353, Chemistry, the Conquest of Materials. Right, that's that first box done. Let's get the next lot out. Okay, carrying on then, we've got 354, Early Anatolia, History of Asia Minor. It's interesting how so many of these have actually got photo inserts, isn't it? 355, Civil Service in Britain. Once again, look, that has got the silver remnants. That would have had one of those belly bands around it. And we've got the first of those to have a look at in just a sec. 356, Archaeology from the Earth. 358 is Chinese Art 1, William Willits. And quite a thick one as well, quite a tome. Nice photograph cover, something a little bit more unusual there. 7 and 6 that was a fortune really, wasn't it? A lot of money, Then we've got Chinese Art 2, 359, so like a second volume of it. Also 7 and 6pence. Wow. Okay, so the next one then is number 360, and this has got like the remnants of the 21 bits on. Literally it's like the scraps of it. This is like, I think it's like stuck in even. Yeah, so it's there. You can sort of see where the belly band was. I'm just going to slide that bit in there because it's, but you can see, look on the spine, look where that belly band would have been, and then it got faded in the sun, you know, whoever had this one before me. So not a very good example of the belly band, unlike this one, which looks all right. So this is a bit more like it. This is number 361, and this has got the penguins come of age. There we are, 1935 to 1956, the penguin being given the key. That's the old sort of wartime penguin being given to the new logo there on the front, which is really nice. It just sort of, it would have been designed just to be wrapped around the books. I suspect, I don't know for sure, I stuck down a little bit there. My suspicion with these is that possibly the penguin reps went round to the bookshops, and the titles which possibly were struggling to sell, they got given a Penguins Come of Age flash because to help them sell, basically, to give them a little bit more pizzazz on the shelf. Here's another one here, number 362, and these are really nice mint ones that have never been off the book. So if you look under there, you can see where the belly band has been very, very clearly. It's tanned the rest of the book, just not that actual page. There we are. Yeah, pretty scarce. I've got a couple more to look at, but that's almost, I think, the best example of the belly band that I've got. But as I said, I'm certain they were put on fiction books as well. I just haven't got any that I can think of. 363 then. More prose of the Romantic period. Here's another one. This one's a bit more worn, as you can see. 364. 365, The Queen's Courts. Still in 1956. What a lot of was published this period, that we're looking at. Just incredible, really. 366, Alfred Adler. Penguin really were in full flow at this point, weren't they? But of course, they were about to meet quite a bit of stiff competition as well from other publishers. Hobbs, 367. .368 in an age of revolution. Good stuff. Last one, I believe, with a belly band. Once again, a little bit of wear, sadly. Landscape into art. But that's a nice read. What a shame that's not in colour, but I suppose the expense of producing and publishing a book like that in colour would have just been just too expensive. Simple as that. 370, Group Psychotherapy. .371, History of Western Literature. Lovely. Another big one. Chamber Music, 372. .373, The Human Machine. .374, The Postage Stamp, Its History and Recognition. .375, The Sea Around Us. .376, The Dead Sea Scrolls. But that's an interesting read as well. .377, look, it's got the silvering on the back. Telltale sign. The Problem of Knowledge. Human Disease, 378. A volume of the Pelican Medical Series. I said a lot of my Pelican collection came from a chap I used to work with called Steve, and he was downsizing when he was retiring, and I was gracious enough to he was gracious enough to offer his Pelican collection to me, which was the backbone of what I've got today. Because before I got that big collection of several hundred, I only had a handful, really, about 50 or something. So it's fantastic to get so many in one hit. And then I've just been spending the next 15 years filling in the blanks, but the end is in sight. Not got many to go now, which I'm really, really pleased about. Not that many of them are expensive or super collectible or anything like that. Some of the 60s ones, which we'll see next time, definitely are, just because of the subjects. And there's a couple by certain authors which are more collectible. Some by Patrick Moore. There's one by Arthur C. Clarke, the science fiction author, which is a bit more collectible. And then on certain subjects like witchcraft, for example, which is quite a collectible one, that sort of thing. So we'll see all those next time, so you can have a look and give you a few to keep your eyes peeled for. 383, Wines and Spirits. Oh, that's really interesting. Look at this little note down the bottom there. Coates and Company, Plymouth. The sole makers of Plymouth Gin point out that their gin is made only in Plymouth, England, and that special flavour is in no way due to the use of sulphuric acid. The author and publishers regret the inaccurate statements to the contrary, which appear on page 252. So they've had to put a little addendum slip into that just to correct themselves. 1957. Well, Plymouth Gin, I'm from Plymouth, and Plymouth Gin is still very much a known entity, and it is going to this day. Okay, 384, the English penal system. Quite a faded spine on that one. I don't really mind on these Pelicans, as long as they're all complete. 385, it's the sort of thing, if I get a little run come my way, obviously I'll go through and upgrade them, because that's what book collectors do. Try and keep the best copies, of course. But I'm not too fussed if they're not perfect. That's a nice one, the Aesthetic Adventure. But this is interesting as well. Very nice. 387, Patients and Doctors. 383. Oh, so one's actually managed to get out of spot. So 383. Let's have a little look here. It says 383 on the spine, but it's actually 388, so it is in spot. It's just a little mistake at the publishers. The Music Masters. Happens from time to time. Numbering gets a bit skew-whiff. 389 then, the Music Masters Volume 2. Another big thick one. Just squeaking into 1958 here by the look of it. Music Masters number 3 for A390, the Romantic Age. Not the New Romantics, of course. Number 4, 20th century, at last. Look, they've got a few records there. Classical, no doubt. 391. So that's a set of 4 there, which is really something. But they wouldn't shy away from a big series like this. Penguin. 393 is Roman Readings. I'm rapidly running out of room here on the desk. 394, Animals Parasitic in Man. Oh dear. That we do not want to know, do we? Ugh. 395, the Ancient Civilizations of Peru. With 64 plates. This is a dusty old one. It's going to benefit from a good clean when I get around to this batch of Pelicans. I've just gone through and cleaned my first batch or so on my other channel. And certainly there was some good cleaning there. 396, Social Welfare and the Citizen. There's a few of these sorts of books to come in the 60s selection. Pelican look at all sorts of social commentary, housing and things like that, which is really, really interesting. 397, The 30 Years' War. Another big book. 398, The Pattern of English. So it does look as if we have the whole run, 300 to 400, absolutely complete now, which is very, very good. Nice to see the full set. 399, Atomic Radiation and Life. Oh dear. Of course, this was the rise of the H-bomb, of course, and other experiments being done around the world. And the last one, number 400, The History of the British Navy. Connected story of the first and often last line of British defence. Nice copy of this one. I'll just see the Pelican history of England on the back there, a little advert. And this one was published in 1957. Good stuff. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that look through a complete 100 vintage Pelicans 301 to 400. Certainly some interesting titles in there, and I really do like the belly-banded copies from 1956. They are fantastic. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage paperback content, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.